Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're located and whatever your time zone is. Welcome to the late edition of Rita Gadi Chronicles. Anyway, we had some technical glitch earlier on with the advancement we have in social networking and technology. We still have some glitches every once in a while. Sometimes these are human errors or sometimes human lapses, but whatever it is, welcome to the program. And we're having a different kind of a situation that we're in right now. So we're veering away from, as I've said, whatever is polluting our world, our atmosphere, and perhaps part of our, well, part of the essence of life itself. But so today, I'm so glad to welcome my former ano ba ito? We had something like a crossfire program, but I'm very glad that we're back this afternoon. No matter how briefly the program is, Paglinawan. You've heard of him, he's the maestro. But this time we'll have a different program and it will be fun. It's the game of life, actually. Questions that I will be posting to him, which could involve just about anything that any of us would be involved in. Ado, good afternoon.
We're listening to this program.
Oh, I don't have his audio, Ben.
Good afternoon. And good afternoon to all those who are listening to this
No, I can't hear Ado. Can we have his audio, please?
Wala naman po audio.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Okay, so we have just about 30 minutes to go, but the first question would be, as I said, this is a game of life. These are questions that could spark and tantalize the imagination. As you will be answering them, we will be entertained by what goes on in your mind and how you view the world in many ways. So the first question would be, Ado, if you were to be granted just one wish, what would it be?
Well, right now I'm a little bit on social issues, so this is quite. I would say I'd like to see that I pass on. I'm at my age, you know. My wish is that I pass on seeing some kind of that my country is over the hump, you know, and moving on its own and progressive. That's my thinking right now.
It's a very good wish, and let's all pray that it be granted. Now, if you could spend one whole night alone with anyone in the world who is currently alive, who would you like to be with you?
Well, that's very simple. Of course, my wife. We've been through many ups and downs in life, and we are on our ripe age, and I think we should enjoy the rest of our lives together. In fact,
If you could change one thing in the world right now, what would you alter?
well, I would like to, in our governance right now, I'd like to see a more educated set of senators. I'm a little bit burdened by the relative ignorance of our senator on institutional memory. Nobody seems to be appreciative of history, and they just keep on shooting from the hips. Yeah.
That's very good. So if you could have one person from history to live his or her life in full all over again, starting now, who would you pick?
Well, I would say from history.
Yes.
Well, I would say I would like to be in a position of Mark Twain, because Mark Twain was very important and relevant to the Filipinos at the turn of the century, that is the turn of the 20th century.
Okay.
And he, from childhood as a novelist.
Yes.
But later on, I learned that he was very much a political commentator, especially critical of the colonialism that the United States had chosen for its destiny.
One of your favorite books of his?
E-book.
A book?
Yes, a book.
A book, yeah. Well, as I was saying, the adventures of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, the carefree. You know, it's nice to be young once again, to be carefree and just moving around with the environment basically, and little and many people around you, you know,
Yeah.
as you take on your youth.
Okay. If you had to live the rest of your life in a place that you have never lived in before, where would you want to live?
I'd like to live in Spain.
Why so?
I learned a lot about Spain, especially I would like to connect the uncharted dots of my learnings about our early history with having to live in Spain. I learned recently from a friend, Pia Morato, that there are so many things in Spain that tells us of our own culture. I'm very knowledgeable about our Chinese heritage, our American beginnings, because I've been in China and the US. I'd like to complete that by going to Spain and spending a lot of time there.
400 years was not enough for you, right? But if you if you were to be recognized by posterity for one thing, Ado, what would you like to be known for?
Well, I'd like to be known for, it's quite idealistic. But, you know, just as I've started my young age, it seems that I'm graduating back to that stage wherein I just love this country. I've been out of this country for so long. But about 10, 12 years ago, I decided to base back here and maybe spend the rest of my life here.
Wonderful. Now, if you could have one person alive today who would call you for advice, who would you want it to be?
Would call me for advice.
Yeah. Who would you want it to be to call you for advice?
Well, I would say my strictest mentor seeking advice from me, and that would be the former Vice President, the former Ambassador Emmanuel Pelaez. We spent a lot of times together exchanging views, and it kind of opened up my mind that even if I had strong opinions about certain things in life, I should open up. You know, when both of us went to the United States to start our diplomatic career, the ambassador almost didn't get me because I was not making myself available because I was anti-American, very much anti-American because of our history. And I didn't want to go to the United States. But you know what he said? He said, you know, you don't know the international connections and the broad mind that you are still haven't seen in the United States. How would you like I did, I was face to face with John F. Kennedy, he said. How would you like to meet those important people and relate to them like as if you were just friends? And I had one chance of meeting such an experience. I would go back to Washington, D.C. every Monday, and on the train back to Washington, D.C., guess who would board at Philadelphia on the way back to Washington, D.C. from New York? And none other than who is the president right now, Joe Biden.
Oh my goodness.
I developed a very close friendship with Joe Biden on the train. But
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, I don't share his politics.
Rubbing elbows, yeah, with them anyway. That was good. Now, if you could bring back any past leader of your country to run the country again, would you still have a choice or who would you want?
uh, Former country, former leader.
Of your country, yes, of our country.
Well, I'd like to really know more about Ramon Magsaysay, there are many pros and cons about Ramon Magsaysay, but Ramon Magsaysay has proved to be one who understood the people first, no? Of course, Rodrigo Duterte is the second. But I'd like to know more about the person. After all, he was the best friend of my father. And he is would you know that he's my godfather for baptism?
Oh,
So I'd like to know more about that guy. There's a lot written about him. There's so much.
Saysay is my guy. Now, if you could say just one sentence to the leader of our country today, what would you say to him? Just one sentence.
Well, I would say one sentence. Please deliver the basic services. Otherwise, give way to your vice president.
Oh, wow. That's some sentence, yeah. Many words, many meanings, actually. Now, if you could have been any person from history, who would you want to have been?
Well, you see, I've had 24 units of scholastic philosophy. And I took up St. Thomas Aquinas very seriously.
Summa Theologica, yeah.
Yeah, Summa Theologica. And so if there would be somebody I'd like to be, of course, I'm no match to that great genius of the great scholar. But it would be that person, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Fantastic mind, really. Oh my goodness, the 3 volumes of the Summa Theologica. Up to this day, I still haven't completed reading it. I mean, the 3 volumes for that matter. Now, if you could work for any person in the world, who would it be? And what kind of a job would you like to do?
Well, I've always been sort of a public policy analyst. And if there is one guy who impresses me so much today, it is Vladimir Putin. I'd like to work for that guy. He seems to be holding the world in his hands right now. Not because of power, but because of the thinking processes that he adopts. He seems to be very reasonable for a Russian. The Russians are known for drinking vodka and for being a kind of extremist away from linear democracy and all that stuff, but far away from the controlled economy of China. This guy seems to be a person who is well balanced in decision making. And I'd like to be able to be part of that experience and to be able to share his critics. And so that would be Vladimir Putin. Yeah.
That's a good line about his being able to smile. He's not only being able to smile, he even sang Waltzing Matilda. You remember at the height of the Ukraine with the conflict they had there with Ukraine, and then he was I don't know what occasion that was, but that was what they showed from Moscow, that he was singing Waltzing Matilda, the complete song, as a matter of fact, and in tune. So, what kind of a job would you want to do if you were allowed to work with him?
And for a former KGB, that's really fantastic. He even went swimming in ice water, just to prove that he's physically fit. Can you
Yes,
imagine
he does this by some kind of a ritual, I think, Ash Wednesday or something before the Lenten season. He was a devotee of the blessed, of the Mother of Perpetual Help, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
He has that big icon at his door, I think, where he makes the Russian cross, sign of the cross, and so.
By the way, now that you mentioned that, Vladimir Putin is Russian Orthodox.
Yes, yes.
And it's so amazing, after all the history of communism and all that stuff, that a leader of Russia would even lead in the renovation, encourage the, how would you call that, the renaissance of Orthodox Christianity in a country that used to be godless. That to me is a very interesting aspect of this man. I've studied this man a little bit seriously, even the way he had conversion experience. You know, when he was mayor, he was persecuted by his political enemies who thought he was a small kid being thrown into politics. But little did people know that Brezhnev was training him for the ropes, and so he started down as a mayor, and there was a time when his house got burned, and his wife almost died, and his car got bombed, and you know that brought him to religion. That brought him to the Orthodoxy, and very few people know about that kind of experience. For a former KGB, I'm telling you.
Exactly, that's true. He was a devout Russian Orthodox, but also the fact that he brought back the name of St. Petersburg from Leningrad.
Yeah.
That I think was something of Our Lady there. And then, of course, so you can imagine why Putin will be smiling now. I mean, what is all this fuss about? The realization that there should really be not this much fuss about Ukraine, because Ukraine was already one of the republics granted independence during the time of Gorbachev.
Very few people know that when Ukraine was part of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Russia developed the eastern side of Ukraine, because in the eastern side of Ukraine live most Russophonic or Russian-speaking people, all the way down to Crimea, you know.
Yes, yes.
But on the west, those are the more or less the European Ukrainians, mostly. Of course, the east was mostly Orthodox, and the west was mostly Christian or Catholic. So that's part of the problem there, but not so much. What has happened is that the eastern people who had control of the government in Ukraine before. They had a Russian-friendly president. But that was replaced by the 2014, I think, Orange Revolution.
Yes.
And it goes on. The NATO, the Americans controlled Ukraine since then. And has been, as I used earlier, the word poking the bear, has been poking the bear and trying to get Ukraine into NATO, which, of course, is a red line for the Russians.
Of course, yes. That's what America is trying to push, actually. But anyway, if you had one full day, with a current world leader, who would you choose?
Well, the closest world leader is Xi Jinping, but I think we will need the translator.
Why so?
Yeah. Well, I've been following the Xi Jinping thought. The ideology of China has been changing since 1949, from the Mao Zedong to Deng Xiaoping, and now a third stage. There are only three persons whose thinking, whose ideology has been incorporated in the Chinese constitution. And Xi Jinping right now has a tough job because the progress that China achieved was so fast that he should keep on innovating, and he should keep on developing a market that could absorb the extra capacities of China, especially in trade. And so he is spinning off the development of China away from its borders. Very few people know this through the Belt and Road Initiative. What China is doing is making other countries rich so that these other countries could buy Chinese goods.
Products.
And the development would continue, and as the standard of living of the Chinese increases in level, then there is more. It will become an endless a prospect for the future through development of technology. And right now they even have a program of, just like the United States, of inviting talents, foreign talents for immigration, so that China can grow out even beyond its own mindset and develop into a real superpower. But when it comes to economy, that is the emphasis of China, a shared future for humanity. And that kind of attracts my attention.
But that's really going back to their tradition as Chinese people. They've always been mercantile. The old Silk Route, remember, which now Xi Jinping has brought into this one belt, one road, was actually silk was the measurement of trading at the time. So even at the time, they already had this idea of trade and the mercantile business around the world, actually. So I think we should look into that more objectively than the way propaganda is coming out saying that China could be a threat to the world's economy.
Well, this pattern of thinking is a revival of the 1400 kind of thinking when it comes to world trade. The Silk Road, the original Silk Road, was a land road, basically even negotiated by Marco Polo all the way to Eurasia, and it has a maritime component.
Exactly.
At
Yeah.
this time, China has already created a situation where what the United States did to Japan, it cannot do to China anymore, because even the blockading of the Malacca Strait will no longer be effective, because China now has developed a railway system from southwestern China, Kunming, that goes down all the way to the Indo-Chinese Peninsula, all the way to Thailand and Vietnam, going down to Laos, Cambodia, all the way down to Malaysia and connecting with Singapore. And right there in the Malacca Strait, China has already developed a port, and that is the Malacca port of Malaysia. So the United States can no longer blockade that the way they blockaded the oil resources from Japan that started the World War II. And if that is not enough, China also now have a road all the way that has access to the sea in Myanmar. That's at one port. In Pakistan, Gwadar, and at the ultimate end, all the way through the Eurasian countries.
Let's not forget the railway system they've already installed in Africa, connecting all those countries there anyway.
Yeah.
So let's change the question to something else. Like if you would resolve any single dispute in the world, anywhere in the world, what would you solve?
I will put that closer to home. I will put that to what I'm doing right now. which is increasing Filipino awareness on the real issues, pertinent issues in the South China Seas. I would like to be able to contribute to the education of the Filipino masses there that is being misled by American and oligarchic propaganda in the Philippines for their own vested interests, to the point that they have now replaced international law with something like rule-based order. And I'm telling my friends, you know, rule-based order comes from the Americans. Their rules, we follow their orders. It's not international law at all. International law is born out of customs and treaties of many nations, and treaties alone have more than 250,000. And it's really a relationship between countries that should determine international law, and not just the overbearing policy of one or two nations over the rest of the world.
Exactly. Now, if you were a kind of dish, a kind of in the menu, a dish, what would best describe you?
What?
A dish, food,
Dish?
pagkain, yeah. If you were a kind of a viand, what kind of a viand or a dish would best describe you?
Well, my wife taught me pinakbet. And this is pinakbet that is Pangasinan, you know, with that kind of fish sauce.
Oh, yes.
That is different from the pinakbet of the Batangas alamang sauce or the pinakbet somewhere else.
Yes.
I did eat pinakbet before because I was Tagalog. But when I learned about this, especially if they're the kalabasa and the ampalaya seems to be to agree with me very, very superbly.
Okay, so that would best describe you. Now, if you were to eat in only one restaurant for the rest of your life, what restaurant would you choose?
Well, I cannot choose the Filipino restaurant because I'll die of high blood pressure. So I would think I would choose either a Chinese or a Japanese restaurant where there are plenty of soup, plenty of bread also, and the correct use of lean meat, preferred lean meat.
Healthy food for that matter.
Yeah,
Now,
Oriental. I'll go Oriental anytime. Oh.
yeah, okay. Now, if you would get stranded in an island, other than with your wife, who would you like to be with? Okay? That could implicate you or that could that could flatter you. So, who would you like to be with in an island when you get stranded, other than with your wife?
Well, if it's other than my wife, then it should be somebody who's a member of the opposite sexes.
Many things about the world we live in, and many things likewise about their personalities, and it's actually a game of life, as they call it. So, if you could have discovered one medical cure, what kind of medical cure would you want to discover?
Cure.
Cure,
Yeah.
gamot, for yeah.
I would like to discover a cure for trigeminal neuralgia.
Which is?
It is a condition of the nerves that has no known cause and no known cure. And it's something that really has festered my wife. It has taken really, I think it has taken 1/3 of my wife's comfort in life. And I'd like to know how that thing could be arrested, cured, if you would say. Although, as the doctor said, as the neurologist would say, it has no known cure yet. So that would be what I'd like to aim for because, TN, trigeminal neuralgia,
Yeah.
is the most painful neurological condition of any human being. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were to choose the worst meal that you have ever had, what would that be? What would it have been? The worst meal that you've taken?
The worst meal,
Yes.
I would say anything in Thailand. You know, Rita, uh, we spent about 5 days in Thailand, and every time they serve a dish, I could not eat because of the
Oh, yeah.
hot sauce.
Because of the chili.
Yeah, and finally, one time we were in a beach resort, and they served what do you call this? Mollusks.
Yes.
Ano ba yan?
Tahong.
Ha? Ano
Tahong, or what's this?
So
Yeah.
I said, wow, this is my chance. No?
Escargot.
Mollusks. Yeah.
Yeah.
A seashell.
Yes.
A shell something, shell food.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
And I said, wow, finally I could eat to my heart's delight. And you know what? Well, so I started with 3 gulps right away. And I really had to spit it out because you know what? In the middle of the mollusks, they inserted chili.
Oh my goodness.
So I
There's
was
no escaping it, huh?
if there is something I don't really enjoy, it's the only thing I think I enjoy with Thai food is pad Thai, the noodle. But no, I cannot eat Thai food.
If you were to be given $5,000 and you only had 1 hour to go into a department store, what would you be buying?
Department store. Well, to make an easy purchase, I'd look for jewelry. Yeah, because I could easily sell it again. And
Very good choice, yes. But if you had $5,000 in a bookstore,
you know what?
only had 1 hour in a bookstore.
Some of my books too, if they're on sale there.
Exactly. So anyway, if you could live in any street in the world, where would you want to live? Other than the street where you live right now?
Street?
Street. Calzada. Anywhere in the world, other than here in the country, where would you want to live?
Oh, I think the Caribbean would be it.
By the beach?
Yeah, endless beaches and good-natured people. I love my stay in Jamaica so much because you can almost talk nonsense with everybody. When you want to, when you go to far places like that, you would want to forget everything that you leave behind. All the problems, all the work, and these people just make you happy. The Jamaicans. I enjoyed my stay in Jamaica, also in other places there like Cayman Islands. Also Saint Martin,
Yeah.
and I went on a mission there, on a religious mission when I retired from from diplomacy, and so I went around the Caribbean, and I have never seen a group of people that suffers a lot every year in typhoons, in hurricanes, and yet when you mix with them during summertime, they give you the best entertainment, the best music, and the best stories, and the best nonsense too.
Well, that's the wish we all have, and that's the game of life, actually. we go into dreaming and we raise our imagination. We look for a better place. We hope for a better horizon. And I have to congratulate you for the work that you're doing, Ado. And we have more questions, but we're running out of time. So for now, if there is one question that would be asked of you and you have no answer, what would that question be?
I think the question would be, what would you leave your children? I am not a rich man. I don't have answers to that. But I know my children will understand, because in my leaving, I left them my whole lifetime sacrificing to bring them to school, and all of them are fine. Only one is still a bachelor. All of them are married, they have children, they have their homes, and they're comfortable in their lives, and they can even do without me. You see, I'm the only one in the family with a son in the Philippines. And even my son here in the Philippines has a home of his own. He's capable. He has a job, stable job now, and he can go on without me. And I think that's the best thing, that I cannot leave to my children something like an inheritance, or the only thing I can leave them is a good name and a good reputation and the work that I've done for this country and for society. That's all.
Well, that exactly is what's the most important heritage that you could leave them anyway. So thank you very much, Ado, for having joined us this afternoon.
Well, you're
And
welcome. Thank
yeah,
you.
all the best, your maestro.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time the questionnaire is circulating around.
Okay, so that's it for tonight, and we hope that we could have Bono Adaza next weekend, and hopefully that we can have other guests that can also be answering the questions in the game of life. So this is Rita Gadi for our Chronicles. God bless you all.